Hi, I'm Jane from Poppy Patchwork and welcome to my quilt block series. In each of these videos I'm going to show you how to make a different block and they're all going to measure 12 inches. I hope you like this video. If you do, click the like button and please let me know in the comment section below what other videos you'd like me to make. Let's get quilting. Hello, today I'm going to show you how to make an entwined star block. These instructions will make a 12-inch block. This unit uses identical split square units and a couple of different variations of the corner square unit. And if you'd like to know how to use this block in a quilt, please watch to the end of this video where I've got some illustrations to show you how to use it. You will need one 5 3/4 inch square in background fabric and 5 4.5 inch squares. In fabric A you will need one 5 3/4 inch square. In fabric B you will need one 5 3/4 inch square. In fabric C you'll need 6 2.5 inch squares. In fabric C you're going to need one 5 3/4 inch square and 6 2.5 inch squares. Making the corner square unit, variation A. Use the 4.5 inch square in background fabric and 2 of the 2.5 inch squares in fabric B and C. Draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of the 2.5 inch squares. As shown. With right sides together, place the small squares in the corner of the fabric as shown here. Sew on top of the drawn lines. Cut a 1/4 inch away from the stitched line, as shown here. Press the seams towards the triangles with a seam roller. With right sides together, place the other small squares as shown. Sew on top of the drawn line. Cut a 1/4 inch away from the stitched line. Press the seams towards the triangles with a seam roller. Making the corner square unit, variation B and C. Use 4 of the 4.5 inch squares in background fabric and 2 of the 2.5 inch squares in fabric B and C. Draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of the 2.5 inch squares. With right sides together, pin the small squares into a corner of the large squares as shown. Cut a 1/4 inch away from the stitched line. Press the seams towards the triangles with a seam roller. Repeat to make 4 in total. Making the identical split square unit. Use the 5 3/4 inch squares in background fabric and fabric A. Using a quick quarter ruler, mark 4 diagonal lines on the wrong side of the background fabric. Lay the ruler diagonally across the centre of the square and mark 2 lines on both sides of the ruler. These lines are a 1/4 inch away from the centre line in red. You can draw this line and then the other 2 lines if you do not have a quick quarter ruler. Repeat on the other diagonal. You will now have 4 drawn lines. With right sides together, pin the background fabric to fabric A. You will then sew on the lines as shown. With some different fabrics, I will demonstrate this on the sewing machine. With those lines that you've drawn on the wrong side of your fabric, you need to sew down the line on the right hand side. And then when you get to the centre, you need to stop. So I'm just going to sew down this line on the right hand side. Now I've just gone beyond where the first line crosses over, and I'm now in the centre of that line in the centre of the block. I'm going to lower the needle and I'm going to lift the presser foot. I'm going to turn around and now I'm going to cross over the centre of the block, and I'm going to stop sewing when I hit the next line. My needle is in the down position. I'm going to lift the presser foot now and pivot the foot around. I can see it's not quite where I want it. I'm just going to manually take that across one more time. And now I'm going to go down the line on the left hand side. Let me just cut that little piece off here and I can show you what I've sewn. So I'm going to take a photograph of that and then I'll show you what you need to sew next. So I've rotated that block around and now I'm going to sew on the line that is on the right hand side until I get to the centre again. So I'm going to lower my needle and now I'm going to raise the press foot and pivot around. It doesn't matter if it's not in exactly the centre position, but what is important is that you now sew across to the next line and stop on that line. So my needle is in the down position. I'm going to raise that presser foot and now I'm going to sew down on the left hand line. I'll now show you a picture of that. With a rotating cutting mat, cut across both diagonals, as shown here. Press the units towards the darker fabric. Using the 5 3/4 inch squares in fabrics B and C, Cut them in half across the diagonal. Handle carefully as the bias is stretchy and can distort the triangle. Pin the triangle units right sides together. One triangle will be bigger and that's okay. Sew with a 1/4 inch seam. Then trim to a 4.5 inch square. Making the corner square unit variation D. Use the split square unit and 4 of the 2.5 inch squares in fabric B and C. Draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of the small squares. Pin the squares in the corner of the split square units. Sew on top of the line. Cut a 1/4 inch away from the sewn line. And then press towards the small triangle. Block layout. Press your units and lay in the block layout. Pin the bottom 2 rows together in columns, matching the points. Sew with a 1/4 inch seam and return to block layout. Pin the top row units to the columns. Sew with a 1/4 inch seam and return to block layout. Press the seams in opposite directions. Pin the side column to the centre column, matching the seams and points. Sew with a 1/4 inch seam and return to the block layout. Pin the other side column to the centre column, matching seams and points. Sew with a 1/4 inch seam and return to block layout. Press the seams open. Congratulations, you have made the Entwined Star Block. Here are some quilt options. This is an illustration of the quilt repeating the same block. There is no sashing or borders, but the use of the white background fabric in the block allows the design and fabrics to stand out. This is an illustration of the quilt repeating the same block placed on point. There is no sashing or borders, but you would need to add blocks in background fabric in between the blocks shown here with the stars, and use setting triangles around the edges, again shown here with the stars. This is an illustration of the quilt repeating the same block but with sashing, cornerstones and borders. And finally, this is an illustration of a sampler quilt using some of the blocks from this quilt block series. The sashing in this quilt is in the white background fabric. The cornerstones and border is in a darker fabric to pop and frame the quilt. Want to learn more? Watch another one of my videos from the Quilt Block series. Click above to go to my playlist. I hope you liked this video. Please like and subscribe to my channel. More of these videos will be posted, so please tune in. Thank you for watching and bye for now.